Oh, sorry. Oh
Oh
no.
no, I think we could have a more in-depth conversation
Yeah.
with this. But like I said, he has had two playoffs with the Knicks and then with the Magic so far, where this is just my point of view, and you can maybe tell me if I'm wrong. I feel like he is not anticipating teams to scout him the way that they're scouting him. At the first game, when they packed the paint, they were scratching at him, getting the ball loose. I think he was really just shocked that he was
Mhm.
getting that much attention because Cade usually gets the triple teams. Cade usually gets the trying to trap him in half court. But this year, they're like, we can kind of live with Cade with the ball in his hands. Like if we take away his lob threat, we take away, this 18 points a game because we know Wendell Carter can't really match him, for physicality. Um, it's been very interesting to see how he has reacted. I personally think if he's not going to score, I've seen him at least play make a little bit. But
Yep.
I mean, I know we've talked about him not kind of like living up to playoff expectations so far, but I mean, like, do you think it's more of a mental thing with him, or do you think it's just maybe he's going through something? I know some people had kind of mentioned, late in the season he did have some injuries, but I mean, what do you think's going on with him from your eyes?
I think a lot of it is mental. I think a lot of it's upstairs. Just for one, I think he's just getting like, learning how to operate in a paint that's as packed as it is with guys who are as physical and as long as they are is just something that is difficult to navigate, especially when that's where he gets his bread and butter.
Hmm.
Um, uh, some of the like the crossover stuff, some of like the ball handling, we've seen him go at it and try to attempt it at points. And there was like a point where Wendell Carter just, like he took the cookie out of the cookie jar so cleanly and effortlessly. And Duren, like he almost had like a look of like, oh, I'm not I'm not used to guys doing that very much throughout the year. And I think some of it is again just like the pressure and some of like the weight of the moment kind of coming in. But I do think some of it, I mean, it's impossible to ignore like like all the noise that's around the matchup there with Wendell Carter Jr. and everything like that. I'm sure that's hard to not, like mess with his psyche a little bit. But
Hmm.
but again, I think a lot of it is learning how to play with this level of attention. And it's like this is where it's like you talk about, all right, well, where does Jalen Duren need to like grow in his game? It's like this is why like if he is going to be like this level of like creator, that's why it's going to be so important for him to get the mid-range shot going. And this is why it's going to be so important for him to be able to expand his game that much more because like this has essentially been, kind of like a 2 or 3 move, arsenal for him the way he's been getting to the basket and getting his shot. And, that's only going to get you so far when, teams have some very deployable coverages and schemes to make you uncomfortable. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing. So I'm not saying that like Duran's going to have to be shipped to a new team this summer or that like they're going to have to rethink like where he's at in the core, but it is like this is kind of a wake up call of like, all right, there are some pretty tangible areas here where it's like, we know what you got to work on this summer.
Yeah, I mean, I know he's not a finished product whatsoever. I
Right.
think there's a lot of areas for him to grow. I see people in the comment section saying he needs a post move so he can beat the doubles for sure. I know we have talked about him developing just like a good 12 to 15-foot elbow jump shot. I think all of those things could definitely help his game, but I also have kind of noticed like he was so routinely like just getting to his spots in the regular season where he loves to go right. He loves just to put his shoulder down and just try to get some contact, get to the free throw line, or just score easily.
Yep.
I think there's been a lot of plays because I watched back the game, game one and game two. I see some areas for like, there's some, backdoor cuts that the star was trying to, go, but it was a turnover. You see Tobias wide open in the corner from three. Like, I don't really need him to average 30 or 25 in this series. I just need him to stay under control, stay poised, and make those reads. I don't expect him to make every single read, but I think the one thing that I don't want to see it I don't want to see you bring the ball up the court and dribble it off Wendell Carter's foot anymore. Like, just give it to Asar, give it to Cade. If they're going to bring the ball up the court, if they're being doubled, like, try to pass to someone that can handle the ball a little bit better. Like, stuff like that, I think we can just kind of just not see, hopefully,
Yeah.
anymore. But other than that, I mean, I don't really think he's been like unplayable, but I think there are moments where I'd like to see the energy a little bit more. I mean, he's been like kind of up and down with the rim protection, up and down in the pick and roll, defensive coverage. Seems like he's just kind of like a step slow to
Yep.
everything. So I'm hoping he can come out in game 3 and just kind of shake off all those nerves, or like you mentioned, it could just be a mental thing right now of him trying to adjust for these big moments. But I think he's been a talking point with a lot of people here.
Yeah, and I think some of it, like kind of like you said too earlier, of like just the hesitation piece of sometimes just being a step slow defensively because he's trying to think of all the different possibilities of what can happen there. Like offensively, like it's taking up time, trying to look at what avenues he can potentially like attack. And by the time he does, like it's either like, like causing a turnover or just not the look that it looked like it was going to be. I think another thing too that like just kind of underrated is you have guys like Jalen Suggs who are just denying those easy lobs to him at the rim and are just like, he's like, like the fact that he used to be a football player has been on full display because he's like, there's been points where he looks like Ed Reed, like in the
Yeah.
open field, like deflecting or picking off, like go balls, it's insane. So I think it's just Orlando's done such a good job of taking away the easy ones from JD, which were such a big part of his offense, that he's really having to earn every bit of it in a way that he hasn't before. And it's like flat out, it's like some of it is just like you just need more than 4 shots in a game. Like,
Yeah.
flat out. He had as many shots in the first half of last game as he did all of game 1. So I think it's just like being more assertive, but also at the same time, it's like don't have to go. And this is just a team thing in general. Don't have to go for the home run ball every time either. It's like you just
Yeah.
like Jared Jack even like said like in the halftime one of the games like we just got to hit singles right now. We just got to get guys on base.